Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're embarking on what I honestly like to call a high-stakes tactical mission. Your objective? To absolutely eliminate those incredibly annoying startup pop-ups on your BenQ projector and secure a perfectly clean, zero-intervention boot sequence for your golf simulator bag. If you've ever stepped up to the tee in your simulator, you're totally ready to play, only to be forced to hunt down a remote control just to clear a barrage of on-screen menus. Well, you know exactly how frustrating that can be. But today, we're going to fix that permanently.
I am so thrilled to guide you through this, because let's face it, there is literally nothing quite as satisfying as turning on your tech and having it just work exactly how you want it to. Now, right out of the box, these projection systems are designed to be helpful. They try to auto-detect every possible input and streaming stick. But in a dedicated high-end golf simulator environment, that default helpfulness actually completely breaks the immersion. So we're going to go in, override those default settings, and secure a pure, uninterrupted gaming environment.
Okay, let's dive into this mission itinerary. First up, threat assessment. Second, Phase A, software adjustments. Third, the dongle dilemma. 4, Phase B, hardware override. And finally, number 5, the seamless result.
All right, part 1, threat assessment, identifying the interruptions.
So before we can actually fix the problem, we really must understand the enemy here. We are dealing with 3 distinct interruptions, and they break down into 2 different categories. First, on the software level, we have HDMI source detection messages and a QS01 dongle prompt. Both of these are going to require what we're calling Phase A intervention, which means going into the system menus. But then there's a third threat, a really persistent hardware-level warning regarding keystone and aspect ratio. This one plays by entirely different rules, and it's going to require our Phase B hardware override to fully neutralize.
Moving right along to Section 2, Phase A, software adjustments.
Okay, we're going to infiltrate the projector's internal menus to neutralize those first 2 software-level threats we just talked about. So grab your remote and let's navigate this together. The pathway here is actually incredibly precise. First, you're going to press the menu button on your projector's remote. From there, you want to navigate over to the System tab, then drop down past Information, and your final target destination is the Operations Settings submenu. Accessing this specific submenu is basically the master key required to execute our first 2 fixes. Once you're safely inside Operations Settings, we can deploy Fix 1, silencing the HDMI detection. You're going to look for a line item that's clearly labeled Reminder Message. Now, by default, this is set to On, which is exactly why your projector constantly wants to tell you about the HDMI source. You're going to digitally toggle that switch directly to Off. And just like that, Threat 1 is killed. Your projector is no longer going to display those annoying HDMI source detection messages during the boot sequence. Right underneath that one, we immediately move to Fix 2, bypassing the QS01 dongle prompt. In that exact same menu, you'll see a setting for BenQ HDMI media streaming. You want to change this setting to Off as well. Now pay very close attention here, because this actually sets up the absolute trickiest part of the entire software phase.
So the crucial point is this critical step right here. When you toggle that QS01 setting to Off, this secondary, totally hidden prompt will suddenly appear on your screen. It asks, Disable HDMI media streaming. This will stop auto-detection. You absolutely must select Yes. Seriously, if you get distracted and hit Cancel, or just back out of the menu, the auto-detection remains totally active and your pop-up problem is just going to persist. Confirm Yes, and the software startup loop is finally disabled.
Which brings us to Section 3, the dongle dilemma, hardware redundancy.
All right, now that we've disabled the software prompts for the dongle, we kind of need to talk about the physical hardware itself. I really want to direct your attention to this rather blunt quote from our configuration sources. It says, "For a golf simulator bay, the QS01 dongle gives you no benefit at all." Honestly, that is a brutal but entirely accurate assessment. When you're running a golf simulator like GS Pro, your whole workflow is based on a PC feeding into the projector via an HDMI cable. The dongle simply does not factor into that equation whatsoever. To understand why it's useless for our specific needs, we really just have to look at what the hardware is actually designed for. It's meant for Netflix, streaming YouTube, running Android TV apps, or screen mirroring right from your phone. In a dedicated simulator environment, keeping this little thing plugged into the projector just adds another device that draws unnecessary power and desperately tries to initiate more startup pop-ups. The logical and, frankly, the cleanest recommendation, just leave it unplugged entirely.
Okay, Section 4, Phase B, hardware override.
With the software silenced and the dongle dealt with, we've cleared all the small hurdles. But now we're face to face with the final, unskippable optimization warning.
This is where we need to bring out the heavy artillery. Now, what's really interesting about this is the nature of this final beast. We call it the persistent outlier. This is a notice that pops up recommending you keep your keystone at 0 and aspect ratio at auto for the best gaming experience. The big dilemma here is that unlike the toggles in Phase A, this is an active gaming optimization notice. It is completely immune to the projector's system software menus. You literally cannot disable it from the menu screens we were just hanging out in.
Because it's an active warning, users usually fall into a huge trap here. They see the warning and they take path A, which is just a standard click of the OK button. And yeah, sure, that dismisses it for your current session, but it is a total failure for our mission because that exact pop-up is completely guaranteed to return on your very next system boot. To actually win this, we have to take path B, our secret weapon, the 2-second hold.
Here's how it works. When that specific keystone optimization warning appears on your screen, you're going to perform a one-time hardware fix. You press the OK button on the center of your BenQ remote, and you hold it down continuously for 2 full seconds. That right there is the hardware override. By executing this 2-second rule, you are basically telling the projector's firmware to permanently suppress this specific warning. It is dismissed for good, and your projector will never, ever display it again.
And finally, Section 5. Mission accomplished. The seamless result.
Take a breath, relax those shoulders a bit. We've successfully navigated the menus, we bypassed the traps, and we executed the overrides. So here is your highly satisfying quick reference recap. Phase A, our system menu adjustments. We navigated to Operations Settings, set the reminder message to off, and set the QS01 media streaming to off, making absolutely sure to hit yes on that critical hidden confirmation prompt. Then for Phase B, the one-time shortcut, we completely ignored the standard click and held the OK button for 2 full seconds to permanently kill that keystone notice. And this brilliantly illustrates our ultimate prize. Just look at that beautifully clear simulator screen. Because we executed the clean boot protocol, when you power on your bay, the projector bypasses every single interruption. It just powers on directly to your content. There is absolutely zero manual intervention required from the player anymore. You don't need to go hunting for the remote. You literally just grab your club and you're ready to hit the digital links.
At the end of the day, it's all about removing friction so you can actually focus on what you're really there to do. Which leaves us with one final thought to ponder as we wrap up this explainer. You spend hours, days, maybe even years perfecting your golf swing, analyzing every single angle. But until today, had you perfected your simulator's boot sequence? Well, now you have the exact blueprint to do it. Thanks so much for learning with me today. And hey, enjoy your perfectly seamless simulator experience.